Welcome to the Healing on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Miriam Rahav. The content of this show is meant for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or health condition. Please discuss all information shared herein with your own personal health authority. I hope you find value in this episode. This podcast is also available on YouTube on the Healing on Purpose channel, should you want to look up any of the graphics, diagrams, or other visuals mentioned in the show. Links to the podcast and its YouTube channel will also be available on my practice website, rahavwellness.com. Please join me on my Facebook group, Healing on Purpose Podcast with Dr. Miriam Rahav, to continue this conversation. Enjoy the show.
Shalom, and thank you for joining me right now, because right now is the perfect time. The time you choose is always the perfect time to step onto and walk further on the divine path to healing on purpose. On purpose means with intention, or as we say in Hebrew, with kavanah, and with an awareness of what one is doing. In other words, with consciousness. You were made on purpose. Your life path, I might suggest, but not only myself, is to connect with your purpose, and that purpose is your shalom. Let me explain what I mean. You may know that the Hebrew word shalom is understood around the world to mean peace. However, Hebrew words go beyond their spoken pronunciation and convey a feeling, intent, and emotion. Shalom is more than just simply peace. It is a complete peace. It is completeness, wholeness, health, welfare, safety, soundness, tranquility, prosperity, perfectness, fullness, rest, harmony. Shalom comes from the root verb shalom, shin, lamed, mem, meaning to be complete, perfect, and full. The sages went to great lengths in their praise of peace, to the point of viewing it as a meta value, the summit of all other values. The blessing of the high priest, the Kohanim in Jewish tradition, goes like this. May Hashem bless you and keep you. May Hashem make their face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Hashem lift up their face upon you and give you shalom. Peace was the utmost purpose of the Torah. All that is written in the Torah was written for the sake of peace. Say the sages. It is the essence of the prophetic tiding. The prophets have planted in the mouth of all people not so much as peace, and of redemption. God announceth to Jerusalem that they will be redeemed only through peace. Shalom is the name of the Holy One, the name of Israel, and the name of the Messiah. And so we bid you peace with the fullness of the meaning in our hearts and the fullness of our intention that this is the master plan for all of us on the pathway. And there is room for everyone on this pathway to find, connect with our purpose, with our own divinity, and with our shalom, with the full depth and breadth of the meaning of that word. Today, I would like to share with you the journey that I made to San Diego for the Conference on Human Consciousness and Evolution. It was an incredible meeting of thought leaders who are bringing together science and spirituality, the science of spirituality, and the spirituality of science. We had Bruce Lipton discussing the biology of belief. We have Greg Braden discussing the building blocks of the DNA and how that connects to the message that is imprinted upon our DNA by our Creator. And we also had the incredible Anita Moorjani, who was dying of end-stage lymphoma, slipped into a coma for 30 hours, and came back to tell us what she learned as she went through what some might call a spontaneous healing or a divine intervention. Here are some words from Greg Braden from his book. Let me find this here. I want to read a little bit from Greg Braden's book, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief, Shattering the Paradigm of False Limits. In this book, Greg Braden talks about the book is less about learning to rewrite the code of reality and more about accepting that we already have the power to do so. Something that has been explored by many mystics in the past, including the ancient Sufi poet Jalal ad-Din ar-Rumi. What strange beings we are, says Rumi, that sitting in hell at the bottom of the dark, we're afraid of our own immortality. With these words, the great mystic describes the irony of our mysterious condition in this world. On the one hand, we're told that we are frail and powerless beings who live in a world where things just, quote, happen for no apparent reason. On the other hand, our most ancient and cherished spiritual traditions tell us that there is a force that lives within every one of us, a power that nothing in the world can touch. With it comes the promise of surviving the darkest moments of life and the reassurance that difficult times are only a part of a journey that leads to a place where bad things can't happen any longer. It's no wonder that we feel confused, helpless, and sometimes even angry as we witness the suffering of our loved ones and share the agony of what sometimes seems like hell in the world around us. So which is it? Are we hopelessly fragile victims of events that are beyond our control? Or are we powerful creatures harboring dormant abilities that we are only beginning to understand? The answer may reveal the truth of one of the deepest mysteries of our past. It is also the focus of some of the greatest controversy in scientific discussions today. The reason? Because both questions have the same answer. Yes. Yes, we are occasionally victims of circumstance, and yes, we are sometimes the powerful creators of those same circumstances. Which of these roles we experience is determined by choices that we make in our lives, choices based upon our beliefs. Through the godlike power of human belief, we are given the equally divine ability to bring what we believe to life in the matrix of energy that bathes and surrounds us. This was such an incredible message that Greg Braden has to share. It was also very much echoed through his own research and experience by Bruce Lipton. And then came the incredible practical, personal, poignant, and heartfelt testimony that Anita Moorjani gave. And I wanted to share it with you because it's a way to really connect the science to a human narrative. And that is that Anita Moorjani tells the story of her life growing up within a certain culture where there were expectations of her that she felt she couldn't meet. As it so happens, the expectations were around her role in a very traditionally oriented Indian culture, a third culture, meaning an Indian culture held fast in Hong Kong, so that she felt even more beholden to maintain a culture within her community. And she herself was not good at housework and had dreams of a career and of being able to travel around the world. And because that was a value system outside of her culture, she was made to feel uh, less valuable and less important. And that download, that program of her being less than and afraid to express herself. And she tells the story, of course, much more poignantly, and also available in her book called Dying to Be Me, which I highly, highly recommend. But the point is that she got sick. She got lymphoma and she was dying of cancer. She entered a hospital in Hong Kong. She was down to 84 pounds and she slipped into a coma and essentially went into the beyond, or as it's called, a near-death experience. And she describes the peace, the shalom, the bliss, the tranquility, the wholeness, the joy of passing into the beyond and experiencing the love, and describing that the word love and unconditional love is redundant because the essence of love is unconditional, which I love to hear. And her being the actual vector, the vehicle of this experience, just felt so, so different than reading about it, to just be in her presence. She holds the truth of this within her resonance and within her voice. And what she discovered is that all of those things, all of those beliefs that she was holding in the horizontal plane, the living plane, the earth plane, those were all not the truth. And the truth was that she was loved and she was valuable and her voice had meaning. And precisely the being who may have contributed to her feeling less than, which in her case was her father. She had a challenging relationship with him on the earth plane, and he had passed 10 years prior to her near-death experience, or NDE. He was there on the other side, helping her and actually encouraging her, because it was before her time, that she might go back. And she said all of the knowing that she experienced on the other side was a direct knowing. It was spoken directly into what we might call not the physical heart, but the knowingness that she experienced. I do highly recommend that you look at her testimony and read her book, or maybe seek out a chance to meet her as she speaks all around the country and the world to bring this wisdom. What happened was she was encouraged to go back and to teach about what she learned on the other side. And her father exhorted her to live fearlessly. And she arrived back. She made that choice. That choice was also linked to the love of her life, Danny, her husband. There's a beautiful story there, maybe too long and broad for the scope of this conversation. But she chose so incredibly selflessly and lovingly to return, to speak of the truth, and to live her life fearlessly, and to live a life of fullness and peace and harmony, and share the message of love. The moment she came to after 30 hours of being in a coma, her body was still weak. She did not have the strength to lift her head at all. She still weighed, 80 pounds or so. However, she knew she was healed. There was no more fear. There was only love. It took her 5 weeks to be discharged from the hospital, and she was labeled a medical miracle, a spontaneous healing, a divine intervention. Doctors looked over her charts. Within several weeks, all of her tumors melted away that were, her neck and her chest were riddled with them. And she was able to go out into the world. It took her body time to catch up, but she already knew. And the life that she led was one with a completely different belief. And she really shared with us that if we are able to anchor her message, and she took us on a deep meditation, that we might not need to go so far to the edge to come back to know what she knows, because she knows it for us, and so do other thought leaders. And so there was Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden teaching us the science of it. And she was teaching us her own testimony. And it was such a beautiful merging of the science and the experience. And I was listening to all of it, and I was thinking about all of you, my brothers and sisters. As you know, I lead a professional life as a physician, where, of course, I am witness to so much, hold so much, hope for so much on behalf of all of you. And Anita Moorjani's testimony moved me so, because in my heart, I hold this belief that we all can heal and we all can come to our completeness. And then I thought of a story. You may have heard of it, written by L. Frank Baum. It's called The Wizard of Oz. And in The Wizard of Oz, you have Dorothy. She's been through traumas, and she also has tremendous love in her heart. Trauma is about potentially being separated from Toto, or being told that Toto's a bad dog and needs to be taken away, and about her own truth of love for her pet, love for her family, and then a cataclysmic event. And then she is on the other side, on a journey, on the yellow brick road. And her desire is to go home, to come home. I believe we are all walking each other home, as one dear member of our community said. And she's given the gift of those ruby red sparkling slippers, that by heading out on this journey, she unwittingly was in part of the cataclysm of her arrival, was meant to hold this power within her. And it becomes part of her, these ruby red slippers. Might I suggest that they could be a metaphor? Some say that the ruby red, as one teacher told me, is the color of the divine. And also, it came to me as Greg Braden was speaking about what is imprinted on our DNA, which he worked on for so many years, over 20 years, putting together the base pairs, the elements, the carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, and the hydrogen, and correlating those to the periodic table, to the numbers, and that to the numerology and the ancient letters, and put it all together and found that DNA actually read the same message over and over and over and over. God eternal in the body, God eternal in the body, God eternal in the body, God eternal in the body. And so doing and so teaching merged science and spirituality in our essence, in our DNA. And that was the power that Dorothy held, that she didn't know that she held, that we hold, that we don't know that we hold, but we can know it. It was the power that Anita Moorjani unlocked in her experience, and it's allowed her to transcend illness and transcend conflict and show up selflessly for humanity. And so Dorothy heads out on the yellow brick road, holding a power that she doesn't know that she has. And along the way, she meets beings like the Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow has downloaded a program. The program is that he is less than, because he doesn't have a brain. And she says she's on a journey to find the gift, her ability to return home. She's going to see the great wizard, and would he not want to join? And he says, yes, because maybe the wizard can give me a brain. And so they walk on the yellow brick road. And of course, then they meet the lion. And the lion has downloaded a program that he doesn't have courage. And they're going to see the great Oz, and would he not want to join? Because he might find the courage the way the Scarecrow might find a brain, and Dorothy might find her ability to get home. And in so doing, they extend hope to each other. and strength to each other and encouragement to each other. And they walk on, and of course, they encounter the Tin Man. And by the way, there are threats along the way. The witch shows up, flying monkeys. And the Tin Man, they discover, has downloaded a program that he is less than because he doesn't have a heart. And he too is invited through their friendship, through their selfless service, through their willingness to help others, to join them on the journey, because maybe the wizard will give him his heart. And so they, all feeling incomplete, join together, and in the joining and in the selfless giving, they, without realizing it, accomplish what they thought they could not. And it only takes when they finally arrive through the gates of Oz and to what was the illusion of a power outside of themselves. They learn through the great Oz, who is just like them, that they have the power within, that they already demonstrated courage and smarts and wisdom and love, and that Dorothy in herself had the power to get home. And so it's a parable in so many ways, and we can go on about it, about the biology of belief. And by realizing that they had the power within them all along, Dorothy is also able to take that quantum leap through connecting her body and her divine wisdom, her proving that the power indwelled her. She was able to actuate her going home, metaphorical for where we're all going, right? So I wanted to share this conference with you. And it's not a specific health topic. It's all health topics. It is this key that we may unlock about why we can both simultaneously be victims of circumstance and also powerful creators of those same circumstances. And by understanding our role within those circumstances, our consciousness, our purpose, we can also find the lesson, find the gift, find our own power. I really invite you to dive deeper into the work of these incredible speakers, thought leaders, luminaries, and beings, as I hope it brings you as much inspiration and soul healing as it did to me. I wish you all my heartfelt prayers for your shalom. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Healing on Purpose podcast today. I hope you found this information helpful, and I encourage you to share this episode with others who may also benefit from the information shared. Please consider rating and reviewing my podcast on Apple Podcasts so more people can find this information. I also invite you to join the Healing on Purpose podcast Facebook group to continue this conversation. I'll see you there.